I don't know why you wouldn't.
I like your shirt.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We got it. Why don't you tell us about it?
Actually, we're going to tell you about it at the end of this.
Oh, okay.
So, because he's going to give us something to put at the end.
Gotcha.
So next week. Anyway, hi.
Hi. Bye.
Bye. Right. So. You just said she's watching TV.
Yeah, she's watching Gabby.
Tell me a joke.
What kind of witch loves the beach?
The end of this video will tell you the answer to the joke. What kind of witch loves the beach?
A sandwich.
That was at the end of the video.
Oh. Why did you ask again?
Because I wanted the people to realize exactly how oblivious you are to everything.
This is true.
So, welcome. This is the first episode of a podcast that called the Oblivious Oblates, and we're brought to you today by this really cool campaign that's happening in New York, and it's that's what the shirts are about. And at the end of this video, there'll be a little bit more about that. So, what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? That is the question.
What is an oblate?
An
Start
oblate.
there.
So there is a few different orders within, or a few different tiers within the Benedictine order, and we are what you would call a third tier. There's the fathers, the brothers, and then the oblates.
So like a long time ago, oblates were children, and if you couldn't afford you couldn't afford to have a child, you would bring them to the monastery or you'd bring them to the convent, and those became oblates. And I guess oblate means offered up.
Yep, offered up or promised
oblation,
to. Yep.
An oblation. Mm-hmm. So we're not actually oblates. We're just impersonating oblates right now.
Novices.
Novices.
So we're before the oblate.
Yes.
We're learning all about it.
So we're really excited about that. Before we actually make our final oblation, we decided to bring you along in or with us on our journey. And while we're having this journey or going on this journey, we'll also talk about our family and how we are going to navigate talking to our kids about current events, because it's going to get crazy, I think. Yeah. It's already kind of gotten crazy, and I think families are already having trouble talking to their children about what's going on in the world.
Yeah. I also want to interview all of or as many as I can of the monks that we have here and ask them like why they picked their name, because every time a man enters the monastery, they change their name, and names are very important. We'll do a whole bunch of episodes on that, I'm sure.
Yeah, we will. And
because we both kind of geek out about that.
Yeah, and even my other channel, where I changed the name like 7 times before I stuck to one, because a lot like changing your name, it's all about, being somebody new and something new. So we'll definitely do that. And family, bringing the family into this process is crazy because our kids think we're weird.
Yeah.
Next question.
What made you want to do this?
I wanted to give you a microphone because I always have a microphone, and I've got the other channels and I do all those other things, and you have a very beautiful brain. I think the world needs to see it.
Well, thank you.
So she's really the creative one.
That's why I'm the quiet one, right?
So we are actually taping this here at St. Gregory's Abbey, which is really cool because we get to see the church as we're taping this. And we are really hoping that this channel will not only help you in your faith journey, but maybe you can come and visit the Abbey, come pray with the monks. And
IRL. That's what we're calling this.
In real life, IRL. But yeah, you can come pray with the monks, do mass, daily mass. You'll see us at mass occasionally, a few times a week.
With our nice loud baby.
Yeah, with our nice loud baby. Bring your nice loud baby, and eventually we will start. We're gonna be doing a whole bunch of things here that's in the future, but this will be a way for us to advertise that, and it will be a way for us to show you kind of the resources that we're gonna have here for you, which will also be free. I whispered that, so free. Free. And how are we going to do that?
Through the wonderful blessings of God.
A lot of hard work and a lot of people that are supporting us and want to support us are going to make this possible. And Rachel and I have 18 years of youth ministry experience, and that includes family ministry. And when I was in the military, I was dealing with families there. And now that we're looking at these wars and this unrest around the nation, I think some of that experience will be really important, so we can share kind of with our military families how to get through this time where it's kind of difficult. And so it's the 18 years of ministry experience, and we owned a business, so we know the struggles of owning a business and having to juggle family while you're trying to do that.
And squeaky doors.
Yeah, and trying to live your life of faith while you're doing it. Our business, I think we were able. Hey, hi. You want to say hi? So when we had our businesses, we were able to still do ministry within those businesses. We were able to give away free meals. That's how we did it. We served the homeless community in Oklahoma City. And now we're continuing on with a different type of ministry, and we really want to help families. Since we have 5 children, we have a little bit of wisdom to share. And
a lot of mistakes that we learned.
That's where wisdom comes from. So there's these gifts, and people think I'm very knowledgeable, and it's not that I'm knowledgeable. I just have a lot of wisdom. Yeah. And wisdom only comes from
mistakes.
Yeah. Experience.
You don't learn anything from getting everything right. So yeah, that's a little bit about Willie. Just a very little bit about him.
You go.
Other than the fact that he's learning how to do everything from the ground up on building a house. So yeah. If you need any contracting help out there. Aside from raising 5 children and learning how to make a marriage work, I have youth ministry experience as well. I'm a 27-year convert. So he's cradle, I'm convert. We have that unique little kind of perspective.
Dynamic.
Okay, dynamic.
Yeah.
And I went to a Catholic college and studied theology, and shout out to AQ, Aquinas College, yay. And I studied theology. I also studied communication and got my youth ministry certification while I was there, and have been doing youth ministry and everything like that for, well, I guess 5 years after him. So that would be 15 years now? What's the math?
I don't know.
13.
So I had 18, so yeah.
18, so 15.
She doesn't do math very well. It's 13.
Hey,
18
folks,
minus 5
tell
is
me what
13.
18 minus 5 is, because let's go back. Anyways, have done a wide variety of roles since, and including director of operations at a pregnancy resource center, emergency crisis pregnancy center, and mental health facility, and I'm currently a chaplain at a hospital, and have a little bit. About a year into my chaplaincy, COVID hit. And so, yeah, I experienced COVID as a chaplain in the hospital, and I have recently been really involved in the exploration of trauma and how it affects your body and your health, and have a lot of wisdom and ideas floating around about that that I would like to share and work with.
You shouted out Aquinas.
I did.
I didn't graduate, but I want to shout out Avila, because they're in Kansas City. They were a college when I went there. They're a university now, so I'm that old. Yeah,
We're still college.
It was a college. So so shout out to Avila, since they helped form a little bit of them.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
Go ahead.
And then I don't know what else to say. We're here. We owned a food truck. What?
So I grew up. our family didn't have a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
It was I grew up in Louisiana, so it's super Catholic. I was able to get myself involved with the church as a young person, and when I did that, it gave me access to things I didn't have before. So it seems like the church was my resource as a kid, and as I grow older, I see that resource has changed. Where it was one thing, it was a safe place for me to go to as a child. Now it's a place that I need to make safe for other children like me who need that space.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it's a different world from where it was even when we started youth ministry back in 2005.
Yeah.
It's a different world from even then, and our whole approach to how we form our family looks different, how other families are formed, how we can reach other people, how the monks.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really like to do about this, with this ministry, is to have more access to them, just like Father Simeon's dream is as well. I think having the interaction between the public and the monks, because they're not necessarily cloistered.
You're right. They're just this is a beautiful place. It's a peaceful place. It's a place of prayer. You really don't want to leave this place.
No.
And so why be a monk if you have to go out into the world? The whole reason for being a monk is to be here.
It's a house.
And most of these guys want to welcome you here. So, come pray with the monks and, come pray with us. Because like I said, we do the prayers all the time. I'll link the website so you can look at when you can do the prayers. But
yeah, and we have public prayer every day. Mm-hmm. Every day. And if you can get here in the rain, sleet, snow, whatever, they just have to walk across.
Yeah, so it's always happening. There's always mass. So another great thing about the monastery that a lot of people don't know, if you walk in the front door anytime, our daughter's walking in and out. And that's part of what we want to create here is a place fun for children, because she's just going to do whatever she wants. So we were talking about... You distracted me.
Hi. You want to come say hi? Come here. Come say hi on the screen. Can you say hi?
Say hi. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You want to show us how to do it? No. She's going to be shy. There she goes. I wish you guys could have saw that. What was I saying? Do you remember?
No, I got distracted.
I was. What were we talking about? Maybe I was distracted.
The monks getting people getting access to the monks.
Yeah.
It's like their home.
Yeah, I forgot what it was.
That's what I was talking about.
We'll probably see it in here and edit it out. Okay. So a lot of crazy jump cuts. But it's a great place. So the monastery is... Oh, I know what I was saying. For you Catholics, you can walk into the monastery any day and say, I want to go to confession. And there's a monk here to hear your confession anytime you want. And that's a pretty big deal.
Like 8 or 9.
Yeah. Anytime you come, you can come, you can come here to the monastery, go in and, you can pray. We've got a beautiful reliquary. You can visit with some saints, some first class relics of the saints. But you have this access to confession, which is such a beautiful thing that a lot of Catholics don't go to as often as they should, for sure. And sometimes they just can't get there on Saturday. But this is like anytime if you can make it to the monastery, you can go to confession. And it's not a burden. The priests love to be here. And
they don't do many sacraments, and that's one that they get to do. So
yeah, very low kept secret. I mean, like it's a great Catholic hack. It's a hack. So and that's anywhere in the world. I was telling my friend in New York actually, and you'll hear from him a little later. I was telling him it's like find a Benedictine abbey and go in there and tell them you need confession, because it's there and it's ready. And there's all kinds of different programs, like we're doing the oblation program. So you get to meet and learn from them.
Yes.
And I honestly, 100%, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, me hanging out with these monks make me a better dad and a better husband.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I agree. I agree. It's been the ability to just really dive into our prayer life together, and our prayer life has been blessed from the beginning, because the very first thing that we did as a couple, and this is a hack for you guys starting out too, even if you're not starting out, if you want to start out tomorrow, that's okay. You just got to say, pray with me.
Yeah.
Once a day.
Once a day. Pray with me. So.
Yep.
Yeah, we when we went to the hotel after we were married, the first thing we did was pray the Rosary together. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds like, oh, that's so nerdy or that's so goofy.
It is nerdy.
It is goofy. It is awesome, but
we split. Okay, so he was in Oklahoma and I was in Washington State. That's 2 hour time difference. I went like this. It's a 2 hour time difference. So we had to coordinate when we were praying, because his 3 o'clock is my, what was it?
2 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, yeah.
1 o'clock. And so we couldn't really, just go at our holy hour. We had to really say, okay, well, I'm going in right now. And fortunately, we both had chapels, because we were both youth ministers. We could just walk from our office to the chapel. And I know there's a lot of people that live in the secular world that don't have an adoration chapel down the hall from their office. So it doesn't have to be at work. It can just be 10 minutes in the morning when you're talking. You say, instead of talking about the Chinese spy balloons, take a minute and say, we need to pray.
YouTube, we don't think those are really Chinese spy balloons. They're not UFOs or none of that things. We're just talking about family.
Yeah, I mean,
we are not making any political
current
statements
events.
at all.
Current events can wait for a minute, because you need to focus. Yeah. And if your focus is what's happening right now, you're always going to be frenzied, and you're always going to be hurried, and you're always going to be rushed, and anxiety is just going to fill you. But if you ground yourself with God, and you ground yourself with the things, and you know that it can wait, you can take that time to really just be with God and focus your day. You can focus your conversation. You can focus your own mind to be open to something that you might not want to hear, or something that might, hit you from the side. But yeah, the focus is what's important. And we do it in the morning with our kids before they walk away from us. Sometimes it's at home, sometimes it's in the car. And then we also do it at night before they go to bed. And so they start their day with God and they end their day with God.
And hopefully they're praying throughout the day. And they've said it. Sometimes they're just like, oh, my friend needs prayers. And, in our world where there's so many different church groups and faith groups, and we live in a community that's not very Catholic. It's actually more Protestant than Catholic. A lot of Baptists.
We are 8%.
8%. So when our kids go to school and they have this very rich Catholic spirituality, because our kids do, it's pretty awesome. They're not ugly with their friends, and their friends ask questions, and their parents have asked questions, and it's really cool because our faith can be this beautiful, loving faith, and unfortunately there's some people within our faith that make it ugly and make it hard to attain. It's like, if you don't do this, this, and this, and this, you can't be Catholic. Well, we're here to tell you, as Oblates to be, Oblivious Oblates,
true.
all you have to do is keep progressing.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter what sins you have in your life. Just one thing at a time.
It doesn't matter how many years you turned away.
Doesn't matter. It just doesn't. The only thing that can keep you from receiving God's love is you. And that's something that some Catholics forget. We are blessed to have the sacraments. We are blessed to be able to walk in there and be affirmed that we are doing the right thing and that we are following God's will. Not to be absolved in our sins by that priest, but by God through that priest. And we have the affirmation from that priest. That's super important. And within those sacraments, those are important. But if you don't know those sacraments or you don't have access to those sacraments, just start with the first one, and that's going to Mass. Even if you can't receive, you can still go to Mass. And you, whether you're Catholic, not Catholic, that's a sacrament that you can participate in. Even if you can't receive communion until you're Catholic, you can participate in that main sacrament. It's every day in our church. Doesn't take breaks on Christmas.
Yeah, no breaks on Christmas.
No breaks on Christmas.
That was a thing last year in 2022. There were some Protestant churches that decided they didn't want to have services on Christmas Day.
Because it was on Sunday.
Because it landed on a Sunday, and they wanted people to be at home. And as a Catholic, it doesn't register with me. Like the last 27 years of my life, I don't.
Yeah, it's.
Does not compute.
I think for Catholics, it's like. I think for Catholics, it's because it's like, oh, we only have to go to church once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it was easier for Catholics. It's like, oh, we only have to go to church once.
Yeah, but it wasn't the Catholics.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why the Catholics were so quick to say, oh, that's so. It's like, yeah, we don't have to go on Sunday and Monday and Sunday and Tuesday. Oh, it's silly. But just come back, and if your kids are loud and people complain, one of two things: either just tell them, "Hey, my kids are here," or just find another parish, because there are parishes that will embrace your children and let them be loud. Mm-hmm. In our community, we have parishes that mamas are probably breastfeeding in the pews. I mean, it's because we have very southern Central American stuff parishes. So there are different styles of parishes, different communities. And the great thing about the church is we can walk into any one of them and we're welcomed and we know what's going on. If you don't have a home, if you don't have any kind of faith community, I would tell you, find a Catholic church and just walk in it before Mass. And this is probably she might push back on me. Find the church, because they're usually open all the time, 7 days a week. Go into the church and pray before you ever go to a service. Because when you walk into the church, you will get a feel for the way that community is and how welcoming it is. If you walk into the church and you feel at peace, stay and then go to Mass. If you walk into that church and say, oh, this is kind of weird, this is too big, I don't like the art, go to another Catholic church. And the reason I say Catholic church is because you can pull a book out and we've got our rules written down. You know what we believe. It doesn't matter if you're singing, spiritual hymn, spiritual, old spirituals, Negro spirituals, or the organs playing or the guitars playing. Everything else is the same. So.
Yeah. And even I want to encourage you, check out a Mass online. You can see it where it's just focused on the front, where you don't see anybody in the pews. That gives you a focus to see what's happening right up front, so you know exactly what's going on, and you don't have all the distractions from, oh, what would people think of my loud kids or whatever. It gets them involved too, because then they can learn, like when people are raising their hands and the things that would make church awkward if you didn't know what was going on. So you can learn those things beforehand. You can practice them. You can get familiar with them. You don't have to necessarily replicate them, but you know what's going to happen generally. Like when we went to Italy, we don't speak Italian, but we knew when everybody was standing, we knew what prayer was happening, and we could follow along the Mass because we knew where we were kinetically in the church and how we were connecting to our community. And the same with Spain and anywhere else that we went. It was very much home.
The Our Father does it for me, because when you get to the Our Father, you can actually say it. Doesn't matter what language it's in, you can say it in your language and it just flows.
Yeah.
And you know exactly when it happens. You know what they're saying. So you can say the prayers in your own language and it just flows and you know it's there.
Yeah.
I've gone to Spanish Mass, and because I'm partially bilingual, I'll try to say the prayers in Spanish and then realize I can't do it because I don't pray in Spanish. I pray in English. In my head, that's the way I think. I pray in English. So I just say the prayers in English because that's the way they're comfortable.
Right.
Another hack, go to the front of the church. If you get to church late, you always get a good seat. If you get to church early, you get a good parking space. So park further back and then go to the front. One of our children is on the spectrum, and being in the front takes away so many other distractions because you don't have all the people ahead of you. Plus, they get to see the sacristan, they get to see the altar servers, they get to see everything that's happening on the credence table, and how you can lean over to your kid and say, "Watch his hands." I like to say that to my kids more than anything. When the priest is starting to do the consecration, I always like to say, "Watch his hands."
Yeah, and they will ask questions, and they will be loud, and they will be embarrassing. I had a lady just this Sunday said, "Every time your baby makes a noise, I see you fuss, and you don't need to fuss." And I've been a mom for 15 years, and I still fuss because I know it's my responsibility to keep my kids in line, and I let them get away with a lot more than a lot of parents do. But I still have lines,
Right.
and if they're distracting me from church, I know they're distracting other people.
Right.
But going constantly, seeing it on TV, it's 30 minutes. I mean, you'll sit and scroll through TikTok longer than you'll do that. So you'll sit. If you can sit through it, sit through it. Those old men have a lot of things they have a lot of wisdom. They have a lot of knowledge.
A lot of wisdom. And the cool thing about the daily masses, we're still working on it, but we will actually be live streaming masses from the Abbey soon. So.
And I'm probably going to offend people when I say those old men.
Yeah, those old men. There are some old men out there. They'll tell you how old they are. But yeah, you might see the back of our heads going up for communion here soon. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have the Abbey Mass streaming, and then we can put links to that.
Yeah.
So also, we are going to be working on producing a Rosary and kind of start talking about that kind of thing. Our friend Johnny actually said today, he goes, you got to do that. You got to do a Rosary. And I said, we got to produce one.
I mentioned that we should do it for our kids just so we could have our voice recorded for them. So. Because
right now they're listening to the Bishop Barron Rosary every night, which is awesome.
Shout out to
yeah, so Bishop Barron, I love you, but we're going to do another one. And but we're going to listen to yours. This channel really just needs to be us chatting about what's going on in the world, because right now kids are scared of balloons, or adults are scared of balloons. Kids aren't scared of balloons, but the adults are a little scared of balloons.
Yeah, and the kids know about Ohio.
Yeah, the kids, that's an important one before we close today. Our son, who does Roblox, they've already set up a page where there's the chemicals and all that stuff, so they're asking questions. I just say I because it's easier to say, but I never lie to my children. And I've always told my kids that I will answer anything they ask as long as I don't have to teach them more than one word to explain it to them. And that has been very, very effective for us, because if the kid says, hey, what's the square root of such and such, I don't know, whatever the question is. If it's a hard question, especially like when our 4-year-old is asking us about sex, if I have to teach her more than one word to explain the question, then, hey, sweetie, then we just say you're not old enough. So for me, I will never lie to my kids. I will tell them that I will answer any questions they have. Nothing's off limits as long as I don't have to define more than one word. One or two, two maximum. Usually it's more than one. If I have to teach you more than one vocabulary word to explain a concept, you're too young for the concept. And I've told that to my children, and it actually pushes my daughter to learn more.
Yeah.
Because she'll say, okay, well, I'm going to learn more. And she reads and reads and reads. And yeah, so that's something we want to teach other parents, is that you shouldn't have to lie to your children or not share, especially with our faith.
Come up with crazy stories just to skirt around something you're uncomfortable with. Yeah.
I was telling my friend the other day, I've never lied to my kids about Santa Claus.
Yep.
We talk about St. Nicholas, and we talk about how Santa Claus is a secular version of St. Nicholas, and we do all that stuff. However, it was really weird when we were in the reliquary and my daughter saw St. Nicholas's relic there, and she goes, Santa! So
I wasn't there for that.
You weren't for that, yeah. We were looking through the relics. It was during Christmas time, and we got to St. Nicholas, and she goes, "Is that Santa?" I said, "Yeah." So we did have to have a little conversation there, and I said, "Yes, that's the real St. Nicholas." So that's the kind of things that we get to explain to our kids, but. We talk about how Santa is the secular spirit of Christmas, whereas St. Nicholas is the Christian spirit of Christmas, and we've changed and modified secular traditions to meet our Catholic needs, and that's kind of what we did in the early church. Yeah. If there was especially from the Jewish faith, let's do that. We take the tabernacle from the Jewish faith. I was talking to my kids in RE the other day, the difference between the tabernacle and the ark. In the synagogue, you have the ark. It looks just like a tabernacle. It's got the red lamp and everything next to it, but it's got the Torah in it instead of the body of Christ. So we take a lot of things and symbols and stuff from other places. So why not take some of the secular stuff and make it something good? and let them know when the secular stuff isn't.
Yeah. We can do a whole Christmas episode, a whole Advent episode, a whole Elf on the Shelf episode.
Our Elf on the Shelf was awesome this year. We changed the lore, and it was pretty cool. And that's a great example. And in case we don't do it, the lore is simple. Instead of her going to the North Pole to talk to the other elf, tell Santa that there would be a naughty, our elf disappeared every night to go pray for us. And they went and met with all the other elves and St. Nicholas, and they said prayers for us. So, and they know that was a fictional story. We also, like I said, we didn't lie to our kids, but they enjoyed the story that we told them for the few months.
Yep.
For the month.
For the month, yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up for today. That's actually been pretty good.
35
Yeah,
minutes.
that's about a 25-minute show, and we will stick around for just a minute. We're gonna talk about these T-shirts again. This is a campaign that's happened in New York. We're really excited to be a part of it.
We should talk about what's happening today in the city.
Today, we went to Mass today, and most of our guys weren't there, but the dedication of the shrine for Blessed Father Stanley Rother is happening today.
Yeah, we'll put some pictures up so you can see how cool it is.
Yeah, so that's happening today. It's live streaming here in a little while, so we're going to watch that live stream. It's just too cold to go today. We decided with the baby that it was probably not a good idea. So we did get to see his casket being transferred, so that was pretty awesome. So our family has definitely participated, and our daughter is saying, "Let's go, it's time to go, wrap it up." So yeah, stick around for the commercial afterwards, and if you guys have any questions or any comments or any topics that you'd like us to discuss, please go down to the comments, leave those questions in the comments. That's the best way to help us build this channel. And we have 0 subscribers when I post this, so you could be one of the first ones, and we will pray for every one of you guys as it comes, as you guys come in, because we can see your names, and I pray for everybody on my other channel. So until next time, I like my other channel, I always say, work hard, be kind, and have fun. Love you. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of the show. I wanted to read what was sent to us over from the Uncanny Catholic. They're the ones that are sponsoring this episode. They provided our t-shirts for us, the Sainthood t-shirts. Sainthood, the choice of a new generation. Be proud to be called to holiness. Order your t-shirt today, and I'll put that link down in the description. We don't get a kickback for that. We're just supporting this ministry because he's a good dude and the ministry is really awesome. So this is a message from the Defenders of the Holy Trinity. They're based out of New York, but there's members all over the United States, probably all over the world. They're kind of a low-key group that just kind of works in the background, does some really cool things. So again, I'll put that link in the description. You can order a t-shirt, and that helps to support ministries, especially in the New York area, but it also will help support our ministry because it will help us to get our word out. So thanks again to the Uncanny Catholic for providing our outfits for today and moving forward. And we hope to work with you guys in the future. Go check out their YouTube channel. And thanks again for joining us for this new project.